Friends, it's me, Meerab, and welcome back to Starspill USA. Today, we're stepping into a part of the Brown family story that isn't loud or explosive. It is quiet, slow, and painfully real. It's the kind of collapse that happens when two people stay together long after love has stopped breathing. Because Kody Brown has finally run into something he never prepared himself for. Robyn Brown no longer wants him the way she once did. Let's picture the scene. Kody sits beside Robyn on camera. He leans close. He tries to flirt. He talks about how she should appreciate his scent, how his sweat and man musk should make him look more attractive. But Robyn's face? Her eyes go still. Her mouth tightens just slightly. Her whole body sends the message, please don't touch me. Not like this. Not anymore. This is what people call the ick. And once the ick settles in, it does not go away. Because the issue isn't the sweat. It's the person underneath it. Robyn is no longer responding to the neediness, the constant desire for validation, the dramatic self-pity, the forced confidence. Kody still performs romance like a man who believes the cameras need to be impressed. But Robyn has stopped playing her part. How did they get here? There was a time, and this is important, when Robyn was the favorite. Not a secret. Not a theory. The whole world saw it. Kody gave her his time, his affection, his effort, his attention, while the other wives got excuses and neglect. Robyn was the escape, the fantasy, the soft-focus romance. But when Christine left, then Janelle, and eventually Mary, something shifted that Robyn was never prepared for. Suddenly, there were no other households. No other wives. No rotating emotional attention. Now it was just Kody and Robyn, 24 hours. Every day, no break. And Robyn discovered a truth many women learn painfully. The man you adore in small doses may become unbearable in full-time reality. Kody without competition is not charming. He is demanding. He wants admiration on tap. He wants reassurance for every insecurity. He wants Robyn to carry his ego and his loneliness. And Robyn is exhausted. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just tired in a way that sits behind the eyes. The romance that once made her feel chosen now feels like a cage. The house is quiet, but it is not peaceful, and this is where the collapse begins. Because when love turns into obligation, and affection turns into performance, and closeness turns into pressure, there is no going back. The relationship is not broken with a bang. It dissolves like sand slipping through fingers. Silently, slowly, painfully. And Kody? He still doesn't understand. He thinks he is fighting to save the marriage. But he is only fighting to save the version of Robyn who used to adore him. That woman is gone. And what remains is a woman quietly grieving the life she thought she was getting. To understand the collapse of this family, we have to look at the children, because they are not just bystanders. They are the evidence of what living under emotional imbalance does to a person. And we begin with Aurora Brown. Aurora was raised in an environment where loyalty was the highest currency. Not confidence. Not independence. Not emotional boundaries. But loyalty. She learned early, if Kody is upset, the whole house becomes tense. If Kody is happy, everyone can breathe. This is how children grow into people pleasers. So when Aurora told her family she was dating someone, that wasn't just a normal milestone. That was rebellion. Because the moment Aurora forms emotional connection outside the family system, she is no longer entirely controlled. And Kody felt that instantly. Kody didn't respond like a father. He didn't say, I'm happy for you. Tell me about him. I want to meet him and support you. No. He dragged out his outdated purity speech, the same rules he himself never lived by. He started lecturing her about moral purity, emotional discipline, staying righteous. But underneath all that religious language was something much simpler. Don't leave me. Don't become your own person. Don't choose someone who isn't me. It wasn't protection. It was fear. Fear of losing control. And Aurora, with a soft smile and gentle silence, understood. She didn't argue. She didn't fight. She just kept moving forward. Because once a girl gets a taste of her own voice, she does not go back to whispering. Dayton's exit. The escape. No one spoke about Dayton used to be Robyn's anchor, always by her side, always the eldest protector, always present. And then, he left. Quietly. No emotional farewell. No storyline explanation. No discussion. He simply moved out. The family didn't talk about it because acknowledging his exit would force them to face the truth. The family home is not emotionally safe. Dayton is introverted, sensitive, observant. He recognized something the others took longer to see. Living under Kody meant never having space to grow into yourself. So he did the healthiest thing anyone in that household has done. He stepped away to protect his identity. His silence wasn't avoidance. His silence was self-preservation. And then there is Brianna. This is where the story hurts. Brianna doesn't rebel. She doesn't speak up. She doesn't shut down the way Dayton did. Instead, she becomes emotionally blank. Not because she feels nothing, but because she was never taught to feel safely. She grew up watching adults explode. Adults blame. Adults demand loyalty over honesty. So she learned, feeling is dangerous. Speaking is dangerous. Needing is dangerous. So she doesn't do any of those things. Her face on camera is calm, controlled, still. But that stillness is not peace. It is numbness, the kind that grows when a child has been emotionally overpowered for too long. And numbness does not stay numb forever. It breaks, it spills, it erupts. Brianna's story hasn't cracked yet, but it will. And when it does, the emotional cost will be high. The house is getting quieter. Not peaceful. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes when everyone is retreating inside themselves. Robyn sees it. She feels it. She knows the family is dissolving. But she is still clinging to the old fantasy. The fantasy where she was the woman Kody chose above all others. That fantasy is gone. And what's replacing it is loneliness. The kind that sits beside you even when someone is in the same room. Beside you even when someone is in the same room. Now that we have seen the quiet unraveling of the children, we can finally turn to the man at the center of the collapse, Kody Brown. Because what we are witnessing is not just a man losing his marriages. We are watching a man who has never lived without constant emotional attention suddenly find himself alone. And Kody Brown does not know how to exist without being the center of someone's world. Kody was never built for solitude. In the past, Kody didn't need to earn affection, because every environment he walked into already had a woman waiting to receive him. Christine hosted his joy. Janelle managed the household stability. Mary absorbed emotional storms. Robyn stroked the ego he believed was love. Each wife played their part. Kody didn't love, he rotated. He didn't connect, he collected. He didn't listen, he expected. He lived in a universe where he was the sun, and everyone else revolved around his emotional weather. But now, the orbit has broken. Christine is gone. Janelle is gone. Mary is emotionally gone. And Robyn? Robyn no longer worships him. So the sun no longer feels warm. It feels cold and exposed. This is where desperation begins. When Kody looks at Robyn now, he doesn't see a partner. He sees a mirror reflecting the truth he has avoided for years. He was never loved for who he is. He was loved for the role he played. The moment he stopped performing, the affection vanished. So instead of facing his own emptiness, Kody does what emotionally fragile men do. He begins to search for someone new to fill the silence. Not openly, not dramatically, just small signs. The sudden "I deserve love that lifts me" talk. The polygamy still aligns with my spiritual identity speeches. The careful hints that maybe God isn't done with his family story yet. This is not faith. This is recruitment language. Kody is preparing the storyline for another wife. Not out of love, not out of desire, but out of panic. Because the one thing Kody cannot face is being emotionally unimportant to someone. He would rather rebuild a false marriage than sit with the truth of who he has become. Meanwhile, Robyn is breaking in silence. Robyn was always the woman who believed, if I just love harder, he will feel safe. But now she realizes, no amount of love can fill a man who is hollow inside. No amount of reassurance can stabilize a man who refuses to face himself. So she does what women do when they don't want to explode. She withdrew emotionally, quietly, softly, without announcement. And that withdrawal is what Kody feels, more than divorce, more than arguments. He feels the absence of admiration, and that is the one loss he cannot survive. This marriage isn't ending with a fight. There is no shouting, no dramatic breakup scene, no grand betrayal. It is ending in something far more tragic, a dull, slow, emotional starvation. Two people sitting next to each other with nothing left to give and nothing left to receive. They are married. They are together. They are completely alone. By now we know where Robyn stands. We know where the children stand. We know Kody has lost the emotional audience he was once worshipped by. So the next phase begins, the one every viewer could feel coming. Kody starts looking for someone new. Not because he wants love, not because he is ready to heal, but because he cannot survive unworshipped. Kody's self-image depends on being desired. When the room stops admiring him, he doesn't question himself. He questions the room. So he starts rewriting the narrative. Maybe the family failed me. Maybe the women didn't support my leadership. Maybe I need someone who understands my calling. This is not introspection. This is recruitment language disguised as spirituality. How Kody will look for a new wife, he will not go loud. He will not jump into public dating. He is too image conscious for that. Instead, he will attend more church gatherings, reconnect with old religious networks, use phrases like, "I'm open to God's direction," present himself as a wounded patriarch, not a failed husband. He will play the suffering hero, because suffering makes him look important. And importance is the drug he cannot quit. He will try to attract a woman who is younger, is eager to please, has a savior complex, and has not seen the real Kody yet. Someone who mistakes chaos for passion and control for leadership. And at first, it will work. Because Kody is charming in the beginning. His confidence feels magnetic. His attention feels warm. His stories feel grand. But every story has a second act. Robyn's reaction to Kody looking elsewhere. This is where the tragedy becomes silent. Robyn will not scream. She will not throw things. She will not threaten to leave. She will do something far more heartbreaking. She will watch, quietly, carefully, with the expression of someone who realizes she was not the exception. She was just the phase. This is the moment where the fantasy finally dies. Robyn always believed she was the soulmate. She was the chosen one. She was the love story. But now she sees the truth. Kody doesn't love women. Kody loves being loved by women. She is not losing a husband. She is losing an illusion. And illusions do not die gently. The children will understand everything. Children do not need explanations. They don't need speeches. They feel what the house feels. Aurora will see the shift and move further into independence. Dayton will become more distant from the family system. And Brianna, the quiet heart in the background, will understand one devastating truth. Love in this family was never about connection. It was about compliance. And once that truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. What happens to Kody after this? He will not grow. He will not self-reflect. He will not become humble. Instead, he will tell the world, "I have been betrayed. I have been misunderstood. I deserve a fresh start." And for a while, someone somewhere will believe him. But every story catches up to itself. Every illusion has an expiration date. And there comes a day in every man's life where he is left alone with nothing but the echo of his own choices. Kody's day is coming, not loudly, not publicly, but quietly, in the stillness of a house where love has left the walls. A house where love has left the walls. We have walked through Kody's downfall. We have watched Robyn's illusion fracture. We have seen the children outgrow the narrative they were raised inside. Now we arrive at the moment that changes the Brown family forever, the breaking point. And it doesn't begin with shouting. It doesn't begin with arguments. It doesn't even begin with a dramatic scene. It begins with silence. Robyn stops defending him. This is the shift no one expected. For years, Robyn fought for Kody, shielded him, justified him, softened him. But now the tone changes. Robyn becomes quiet. Not resentful. Not angry. Just quiet. Because when a woman has finally understood the truth, she does not yell. She detaches. She begins to speak less. She withdraws emotionally. She stops trying to fix him. And that silence is the loudest collapse of all. Kody feels the silence like a threat. Kody cannot exist without reflection. He needs admiration to feel real. So when Robyn stops cheering, he feels it as betrayal. And he will say things like, "You don't support me anymore. You've changed. You don't believe in the covenant." He will accuse her with the very words he used to control her. But Robyn won't argue. She won't fight back. Because she is not trying to win anymore. She is trying to survive. The children step back completely. This is where the family dynamic truly ends. The children who once sought validation now refuse to be in the same room. No holidays together, no family gatherings, no emotional hold. They love from a distance. They protect themselves first. They choose therapy, independence, adulthood with boundaries. This is the generation that breaks the cycle. And that is something the show never expected to capture. Will Robyn leave? Here is the most delicate truth. Robyn will not leave because she wants freedom. She will leave because she no longer wants to be the last wife blamed for his ruin. She will stay as long as Kody is emotionally fixated on her, and the fantasy still feels warm. But once he begins seeking someone new, once he starts rewriting the story without her, Robyn will understand. She was never the love of his life. She was the resource that helped him avoid his own loneliness. That is the heartbreak that ends marriages quietly. Not betrayal, not scandal, but awareness. When that day comes, she will leave in a way that surprises everyone. No dramatic interview, no public statement, no breakdown scene. Just packing slowly, closing doors softly, and reclaiming her life one breath at a time. Because leaving isn't loud. Leaving is peace. The show's ending TLC cannot keep the illusion alive much longer. There is no plural family. There is only one lonely man, one exhausted partner, and adult children building better lives without him. The show will end not with fireworks but with a fade. A final episode where no one is angry anymore. They are simply done. And that is the real ending. Not chaos. Not revenge. Just freedom. The women who walked away. Once the dust settles, something truly extraordinary begins. Because this story was never just about a man losing his family. It was about 3 women discovering their worth after years of shrinking themselves to fit one man's fantasy. This is where we witness rebirth. Christine, the one who chose joy. Christine is the first to run toward life, not away from pain. She was tired of being the extra, the background wife, the one expected to smile through hunger. So she did something revolutionary. She chose happiness over sacrifice. She didn't just leave Kody, she left. The silence, the guilt, the idea that she was only valuable if she suffered politely. Now look at her, her laugh is louder. Her eyes shine differently. Her identity is no longer tied to being a wife in the rotation. She is not healing quietly, she is thriving publicly. Her message to the world is clear. You are allowed to walk away from what breaks you, even if the world calls it a commitment. That is power. Janelle, the woman who grew into her strength. Janelle was always steady, always rational, always the one who held the structure together. She didn't leave in a burst of emotion. She left when the numbers no longer added up. Kody thought she would never go because she was practical. But practicality is not submission. Practicality means, if this isn't healthy, I will not stay. Janelle realized the emotional labor was one-sided, the respect was gone, and loyalty without reciprocity is simply self-erasure. So she walked, not as a dramatic exit, but as a calculated reclaiming of self. Her strength is not loud. It is grounded. Mary, the quietest transformation. Mary's story is the most painful. She loved the longest. She tried the hardest. She held on far past the point of damage. But when she finally let go, she did so with dignity. She did not curse his name. She did not burn bridges. She simply said, I deserve to be chosen too. And that sentence carries the weight of decades. Mary didn't just leave a marriage. She left a pattern of being second choice, background presence, emotional placeholder. Her healing will be the slowest, yes, but it will also be the deepest. Because when Mary heals, she will become the version of herself she was always meant to be, before the family system shaped her into silence. Who becomes the emotional anchor now? Surprisingly, Christine and Janelle. Not romantically. Not as co-wives. But as 2 women who survived the same story and now hold each other up with honesty and laughter. Their friendship is the new heart of the family. They celebrate each other's milestones. They support each other's children. They are the future, not the past. Because sisterhood was always real. It just needed freedom to breathe. And what is Kody's legacy? He will be remembered, but not for the reasons he hoped. He wanted to be seen as a leader, a prophet, a patriarch, a man chosen by destiny. Instead, he will be remembered as the man who lost everything because he chose pride over love. A cautionary tale. A warning. Not a hero. The final truth. This was never a story about polygamy. It was a story about power. And here's the ending. The women won. Not through revenge. Not through bitterness. But through freedom, healing, and choosing themselves. The family didn't collapse. It evolved. It outgrew him. The children who saw everything. When a family falls apart in public, we talk about the adults. But the real story lives in the children. They didn't choose the lifestyle. They didn't choose the structure. They didn't choose the emotional rules. They were simply born into the script. And now they are the ones who must decide, do we repeat this story or do we rewrite it? This is where the real legacy unfolds. Some children will break the cycle. There are brown kids who watched the loneliness their mothers lived with, the desperation for attention, the constant negotiations for affection, and said, I will never live like this. These are the ones who build clear boundaries, value emotional honesty, and choose one partner in a relationship of equality. They want stability, not spectacle, clarity, not chaos, love that feels safe, not love that demands sacrifice. These children will create homes where feelings are allowed, presence is consistent, and love is not something that must be earned. They are the cycle breakers. Some will struggle. There are others who internalize the message that love is conditional, that affection must be competed for, that being chosen is a reward, that being enough is never guaranteed. These are the children who may fear commitment, attach anxiously, or confuse intensity with intimacy. Not because they are weak, but because they were taught love through scarcity, competition, and emotional hunger. Healing for them will come later. Sometimes after heartbreak, sometimes after therapy, sometimes after they become parents themselves. But it will come. Because once you've lived inside emotional starvation, you recognize nourishment the moment you finally taste it. And then, there are those who stay close to Robyn. This is delicate, so we speak gently. Some of Robyn's children learned love through fear of losing it. They were raised inside the belief, loyalty equals love, closeness equals safety, and questioning equals betrayal. These children may carry guilt for separating, pressure to emotionally parent their mother, a need to stay in the system even if it hurts. Their journey is not rebellion, it is untangling. And untangling takes time. Sometimes years, sometimes adulthood, sometimes silence. The hidden truth. Every child in the Brown family carries a different memory of the same house. For some, it was laughter, siblings, fullness. For others, it was absence, waiting, hunger. There was no one shared childhood. There were multiple childhoods happening at once. And that is where the emotional story truly lives. So what happens to the next generation? They will not recreate polygamy, not because they hate it, but because they have seen the emotional mathematics up close. They know one heart cannot feed multiple lives. One presence cannot hold every child. One love cannot multiply without thinning. They will choose smaller homes, quieter lives, deeper intimacy, and love that is focused, not divided. This is how generational healing works, not loudly, not dramatically, but through different choices, and that is the silent victory Kody wanted to build a dynasty. He wanted legacy. He wanted his beliefs to echo forever. But the legacy he accidentally created is children who know the cost of emotional neglect. Children who refuse to repeat it. That is the ending he never saw coming. Not humiliation. Not revenge, evolution. The family did not collapse. It grew out of him. Not revenge, evolution. The family did not collapse. It grew out of him. If this story were a film, the final scene would not be loud. There would be no screaming. No dramatic confrontation. No doors slamming. The ending would happen in quiet. Because some endings do not explode and they dissolve. The house that was once full picture the Brown family cul-de-sac. Once it echoed with children running, doors opening and closing, dinner tables too full to count chairs. Now, the driveways are empty. The lights are off in most of the windows. Only one home remains occupied. Robyn's. Not because it is thriving, but because it is the one that never learned how to leave. Inside, the rooms feel too large. The silence is heavier than the furniture. And Kody walks through it like a man who keeps turning lights on to convince himself he is not alone. But he is, not because no one stayed, but because no one stayed connected. He lost the emotional center of his world when he believed he was the center of it. That is the tragedy. Not abandonment, blindness. Meanwhile, Christine's kitchen smells like warm bread and laughter. Janelle is surrounded by adult children who love her without fear, without conditions, without having to earn affection by competing for it. Mary sits somewhere quiet, maybe near a window, maybe journaling, maybe traveling, maybe simply breathing differently than she ever has before. Her peace doesn't need an audience. Her healing is private, sacred, real. The final emotional truth. This was never a story about marriage, or religion, or plural living. This was a story about what we sacrifice to be loved, what we tolerate to feel chosen, what we learn when we finally walk away. The women did not win by defeating Kody. They won by choosing themselves. They chose peace over performance, wholeness over worship, and truth over illusion. That is the revolution. The last line. If this story has one message, one sentence that stays with you, one truth that turns quietly in your chest, it is this: love is not proven by how much you endure. Love is proven by how much you bloom. And in the end, Christine bloomed. Janelle bloomed. Mary bloomed. Even the children have begun to grow into sunlight that once felt unreachable. And Kody? He will spend the rest of his life wondering how he lost what he believed he controlled. Not because the family turned on him, but because they outgrew the story he needed them to stay inside. Friends, it's me, Meerab, and welcome back to Starspill USA. This is the full story of how the Brown family fell apart, not in one moment, but slowly, quietly, through years of unmet needs and unspoken heartbreak. Kody Brown built a world where love had rules, affection had rotation, and loyalty meant self-sacrifice. But as the years passed, the women who once held him up began to recognize the emotional cost of being chosen only when convenient. Christine was the first to break free, choosing joy over martyrdom and proving that leaving can be an act of self-respect. Janelle followed with calm clarity, refusing to continue investing in a love that no longer saw her. And Mary, who had held on the longest, finally released herself from the role of waiting to be valued. Meanwhile, Robyn, the wife who believed she was special, slowly realized she was not the exception, only the temporary focus of a man who needed admiration more than connection. As the children grew, they stepped away from the emotional chaos and began shaping healthier futures, refusing to repeat the cycle of love as competition. And in the end, it was not a dramatic explosion that ended the Brown family. It was evolution. The women healed. The children chose peace. And Kody, who once stood in the center of everything, now walks through a quiet house built on echoes, learning too late that love cannot be sustained through control. The family did not collapse. They simply outgrew the story he needed them to stay in. This is not a tragedy. It is rebirth. It is rebirth.